Hi, good evening, everyone. So we'll wait for another 2 or 3 minutes just to see if more people are joining. Yeah. Okay, so I guess we will start the session right now. So today the session will be hosted by Nalini, and we'll be starting off with the concepts of week 2. So how many of you have watched the lectures? Can you just get some idea? Can you please raise your hands? Okay, thanks. Okay, yeah. So Nalini, shall we start off with the session?
Yes, ma'am. I think we can start with the recap of week 2, right, ma'am?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I will revise week 2 concepts like whatever which sir has discussed in the lecture. Just I will give kind of brief explanation of those things and then questions. Yeah. So the printing hello world or something to the console is not as simple as you did in Python, but in Java, like you have to write a lot of things. So for printing simple hello world to your console, you need to do all these things. So why
So
you are
Nalini, just sorry to interrupt you, but there is a lot of noise in the microphone, I think.
now,
Is
ma'am?
that
Now?
now it is not there, but yeah, now it is not there. Can you try?
Yeah, now am I audible now properly?
Yeah, sometimes there is some background noise, but now it is okay. I think. Can you try again?
Okay, yeah. So printing hello world, is it okay now, ma'am? Or
It's still
still?
there. I don't know.
I
Yeah,
think
are the
yeah,
others
it's
finding it difficult, or I mean, it's just me? Or
Yes, ma'am. It is difficult to
Yes,
understand.
ma'am.
There is
Little
some.
bit noise is there.
I think it's
Yeah.
because of wind actually here. A lot of wind. Sorry, yeah. I will shift my place.
Okay, maybe you can just cover the mic and your mouth together, something like that. Maybe the wind is causing the problem.
Yeah. Now is it okay, ma'am?
Yeah, better. Yeah.
Now?
Yeah, better. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So printing hello world is not as simple as you did in Python. So in Java, like you have to do all these things to print simple any statements to your console. So why all these things are required is because, so everything, whatever code you write in Java must lives in within your class. So whatever you write, that should be enclosed in some class. Okay, a Java program is nothing but a collection of classes, and all code in Java lives within a class. And here, okay, let's see like how we are doing this hello world thing in this. And so here you have defined a class hello world. So you can define your class with any name. The class can be of any name. So just here sir has used hello world, the class name as hello world. So class hello world, and you are specifying it as public. So public, so generally classes are like public, private, and protected. These are access modifiers that you will come to know more about those things later. For now, you think like public is an access modifier. If something is public, then it will be accessible from anywhere. You can access that from anywhere. Yeah, it will be more clear in the further weeks. Okay. So the thing is like, if the class so here hello world is a class, and you are you are making it as public, and you are enclosing the system.out.println statement in the main method. That means like, so everything, the point of execution starts from main method in Java. It's not like in Python, like every line will be what executed line by line, no. But in Java, the point of execution will start from main method. So whatever you write in the main method, that will be executed first. Okay. So now the next line in the main method is system.out.println of hello world. So this is like so you are just trying to print hello world to your console. I think sir has explained about this, what is system out and println. If someone wants, then I can explain. If not, I can proceed further. Okay. Yeah, if anyone wants me to explain this, or yeah, I think I shall continue, right?
Just explain the out part.
Sorry.
System.out. System is a class. And
Just
dot
a minute.
out. If you this dot out part, if you can explain.
Okay, yeah, sure. So I will just tell you this. Give me a minute. Okay. Yeah, okay. So here, so something like you have class system. In that system, you have one static variable of type print stream. Out. So okay, out. So this is like out is a static variable of type print stream. Okay. Out is a static variable of type print stream. That means like you have so it is similar, like it is similar to, you have some class test or something. In that you have one string, static variable of type string, and let's take it as s. So the thing is, this s and this out are similar. That means the thing is like, I'm telling, just telling the resemblance, like how these are similar. See, so out is of type print stream. So print stream is some other class, and the out is like object variable of that class print stream. It is static. Since it is static, you can just access that variable without what, without creating the object of that class. So you are just directly telling system dot out, and you are calling the println method which is present in the print stream class. Okay.
Okay, that means without creating the object, I am actually accessing the system class to call the invoke the function println.
Yeah, without see, if something is static, if variable is static, you can directly access that variable without creating the object of that class, because static, whatever, if you declare as static, that belongs to the class, it does not belong to the object. So whatever modification you do to that variable, it will what resemble, it will, you can find that changes in all the object. So the static, whatever you declare as static, that belongs to the class. So all the objects which has this what, all the objects of that class will see the change whatever you make in that variable. So now out is an object, it is like, it is an object variable, it is a static variable. So you can access that variable by directly by using the class without creating an object of that class. So you are directly accessing by saying system dot out. So that means you are accessing the print stream class, and you are calling the println method of that class print stream, and you are, it takes some string as an argument. It will take anything as arguments, but it will convert to string method, it will convert whatever we gave to string, and then it will print. So the thing is like, here out is static, so you can use that without creating an object of that class system. So directly I'm saying system dot out, and then we are calling the println method.
Nalini, sorry to interrupt. So just to add to it, see, people who are new to Java might be wondering about the static variable, static keyword. So what it basically means is, see, we have been mentioning that for Java, everything is inside the class, right? So even if you want to have a variable, so and in the last live session, like we mentioned, you can have as many objects of a specific class as you want. And each of these objects will have different values. Say, for instance, you have two instances of an employee, each of them can have different employee ID, right? But what happens if you want to have a variable which is specific to the class instead of specific to each object? So in such a case, we prepend this modifier known as static. So in that case, that variable belongs to the class, not to any specific object. So if any object from the class, I mean, when you want to access that particular variable, it will be the class name dot that object name, that static variable. So there are static functions also. Even those things we will access using the class name dot that particular static whatever. Is that clear?
Okay, then basically the out here, it's a static variable, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
But can I write then system.static.println instead of out?
No, static is a keyword. Out is the variable inside the predefined class system. Out is the variable name. So you have to access, say, for instance, you are saying something like integer I, okay? So you cannot say something like the system.integer. something, no? You will say the system.I. something. So out is the variable which is used. So see, static is only a modifier, just like public, private, and all that. Static is another modifier to indicate that this variable is specific to the class. So static is a keyword which is used to denote that the variable that follows is a static variable, in the sense that it's specific, it belongs to a class and not to each object. So static is a modifier, it is not a keyword. Whereas not a variable, sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Ma'am, without creating any object, we can use that variable or function if we use the static keyword.
Correct. That's correct. Yeah.
And ma'am, what is there inside the print stream class?
Print stream is actually used for input and output of data. See, for instance, when you're coming to the serialization part, right, you will see that Java actually looks at these byte of data which goes in and out of the system as a stream of bytes. Bytes, or rather, however you want to handle it. Okay, so data stream is there, byte stream is there, buffer stream, all these, there are different kind of streams. For now, you can just understand that this is some print stream class. So if you go to the Java documentation, you can understand better. It's something like a stream of characters. If you want to take this stream of characters into the data, you use in. If you want to display something outside, you use the out print stream. So inside system class, you will have static print stream out, static print stream in, and there is one more, which is, I think, error or something. So if you go and see that, so these all have specific purposes because we are printing something outside, right? Printing something onto the console and not taking something inside. We use the out variable. These are all predefined variable which is defined inside the system, which have the specific functionality. And if you see inside the print stream class, no, you have the println method.
Okay, ma'am. So is it the same as like we use in the scanner class system.in? So that is also defined in print stream class.
System.in, right?
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
right.
Yes. The system. Yeah, both are print stream types.
Okay,
Both
ma'am.
are of type print stream, correct? Yeah.
Throughout this Java, whenever I need some printing, means I want to print the program apart or output of something, I will use these as a syntax system out.println. Print.
That's
like
correct.
in Python, whenever we use the print statement. To
correct.
something.
Yes. So in if you know C, it has printf, right? Scanf printf, no?
Yeah.
And C in cout. Similarly, here the syntax is system.out.println.
And one more thing,
Yeah.
in Java, it is a collection of classes. That means inside everything, it is written under function or method. In Python, whenever we write, it will execute in line by line, but in that line, if the functions came, accordingly it will act. But once in Java, once I inside a function, it will go in line by line, right? Like Python, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
No,
Yeah,
see,
you
okay.
can.
So yeah, Nalini, you can continue.
I wanted to ask. So here, this system.out is a command, right? System.out. So like that, it's like println. Anything else can also be put instead of println, or there could be just println.
Yeah,
is
there
the
is
only
print,
thing.
there is printf. There are so many methods. If you just see the Java documentation, see, it's always good to go back and see whenever you see these things, just go to the docs.oracle.com and see, look for the Java version 11. I'll send you the link here, and then look for the print stream class. Inside that, it will list you all the methods that can be accessed. So whatever you can access using out dot, right? Out.printf, out.print, out.println, whatever are available, you can see all these methods listed there. You can try experimenting with those. Got it, no? I mean, that was your question, or did I get your question?
Yeah, I was asking in similar lines only. So,
Okay.
ma'am, so you are saying that so also this where we are talking about the public and the static uh, class. So this is the in the class public. Sorry, in the class hello world, we have this static void main. So that is the main class, right? That is the main
No, main
execution class.
method.
Main method.
Sorry. I'm sorry. That is the main method,
Method.
right? From
Correct,
where the
yeah.
execution will
Start.
take place, right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. And this, so what I just wanted to clarify, what does this static signifies? This static signifies the static type of typing, right? Nothing else.
See,
as
if
of
you
now.
want to execute main, you don't have to create, let's say, hello world h equal to new hello world is not required. See, otherwise, whenever you want to execute a method inside a class, right, you have to instantiate that class and then invoke the method. So, for instance, you have public class hello world here, right? So, if you want to execute any other method, like which is not static, then you have to create an object of hello world and then invoke that method. Got it? So from outside, when you want to invoke the main method, you cannot create an instance from outside. So it is declared as a static by default. See, the main
Sorry,
method
can you please
is,
repeat once? Sorry,
see,
I just
whenever you want to execute a method inside a class, you have to create an object of that class unless that method is a static method.
Okay,
Am I
got it.
clear?
So
No?
we don't
If
need
it
to
is a
create an
non-static,
object in a static method. Okay, correct.
No, what I'm saying is, like, if you want to execute the main method, you don't have to create an object of class hello world. For every other method inside class hello world, which is not static, you have to create an object of hello world. Say hello world h equal to new hello world, then h dot that method name. Here you don't have to say h dot main because main by default is a static method.
Okay, got it.
So
Ma'am, I
see,
have. Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, as ma'am, should I explain like how general execution will happen? I think that will clear most of the doubts, no? Like, so just
The
writing
Java,
some class
yeah, we'll come
in
to that.
REPL,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
writing
sure.
some class
Yeah,
and
we
execute.
will, we can demonstrate that. So somebody else is
Yeah, ma'am, I have one very specific question here.
Yeah.
So, difference between Python and Java, right? So, when we try to print something in Java, we are using a class for a simple action like a print, which is translating, like fetching the data from the system, translating it into readable text and showing it, right? Whereas in Python, it's a very simple print command. So is that how it is structured? Like Java,
no, I didn't understand. What is the difference? So one is
like why do I use a system.out specifically? Like what does the class system do?
No, that is how the Java syntax has been made. No? That is how Java wants to put everything inside the class, right? In
Correct.
Python, that's not the case.
Like
here, you want to put everything inside the class. So you've given a system. So why do you need system.out. Instead, could you just have system.println or system.
No,
something
why
like
don't
that?
I just have println? Like
Yeah, that's
because
because you cannot call a method inside Java without using an object or a class name.
So okay, so if I were to take an example of a different function, I'll invoke say some function which adds to integers. So I know that it is adding to integers. What is this function like out doing, right? Like as I understand,
out is not a function. Out is not a function. Out is a static variable. It's not a function. Nalini has written on the right side the class system. It's not a function. It is a variable inside the system class. It's a static variable. And the println method is inside the print stream class, of which out is a variable.
Okay, so like if I have to go into the detail of what does this println do, then it would be
println simply prints to the console, whatever is the standard out. So we can actually define, like, if you want to print it to a file, you can actually select accordingly. So here you are actually looking at the standard console, which is the your command prompt or your Eclipse, whatever editor you're using, whatever your standard output, there it will get printed.
In the lecture, I think Sir had explained with some good example, like this system is functioning like a library in Python. Suppose I want to do some square root, then I have to use math.square root. From math, I am invoking the square root function. So in Java, system is a class. To get the println function to invoke, I am using this static variable .out, which is acting as an object, to invoking this println function from the system as a library. Am I correct, ma'am?
Yeah. So out you have actually here the out you have something something like a standard output stream. If you want to change that to something else, that can be done, but that you will learn later. For now, what you have to understand is your standard output console is what is identified by this out variable. Okay, the system is actually using we are using the out variable inside the system class to print to the standard console, which is our standard output. Okay, so now out is the print stream class. As I said, print stream has other functionalities. It can take in, it can take out, can print some error. There are lot of other these things like logging and everything. So you can use any of these. For now, this particular syntax, which looks like a bit scary as a little complex, is primarily because Java wants everything inside either a class or an object.
Okay, let me just rephrase that question. So till now, the idea of functions or methods which we have was more of manipulation of the data. So whenever I say print, right, there is like in Python, it's already so the process of, I think one of the lectures, like Sir also has mentioned, that fetching the data from the system and showing it on the screen is not something that we thought of as a function or a method, but Java treats that also as a function or a method. Is that the right way to put it?
See, I would say that print is also a method inside in Python, right? Because you give a parameter. No, what else is print in Python?
Yep, just
Print is
print,
also a
man.
method.
Yeah, print
No,
is
no.
also a method, ma'am. It's just prints to the console. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
method.
print in Python also it is a method. See here, only thing this method has to be placed inside an object or a class. That's all the difference. In both cases, it's method.
Okay. Okay.
But here it has to be placed inside a class, and so therefore it can be invoked only using the object of print stream. And this print stream we are using because we want to have the standard system output, right? Sorry, standard output console. That's why we are using system.out. Now that identifies the standard output console. And what do you want to do with the output? You want to print. So print ln is something different from print. Print ln is naturally followed by an end of line character. That it will press and enter, and whatever you write, if you write one more system.out.println, it will print in the next line. Okay, that is different. That's slightly, I mean, I don't want to explain, but just like println, you have so many other methods also inside the print stream class. You can just go and check it out. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Yeah, thank you.
And ma'am, this system, this capital S is syntax means case sensitive.
Yes, it is
Yeah,
case
it's
sensitive.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Nalini, I think we can maybe give one small example and reflect, right?
Yeah, now or should I do later?
We can do later also. You can just
yeah,
continue.
yes. Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yeah. Okay. So this is like finished, right? So in the main method, so this is the method name, and these are the parameters that main method is taking, and it is the return type. Void specifies it is not returning anything. If it is not returning anything, you simply will write void for any function. This applies to any function. If the function returns integer something, then you should write int into that function name. If it is returning doubles that function name, and you should, so the this is like main is the function name and the void is the return type, and these are the parameters that the main method is taking. Okay, still till this is clear, right?
And ma'am, we can create any number of static methods and variables, or is there any limitation on
No,
that?
you can create any number of static methods and variables in your class, but but it should have some purpose, no? So if something is static, then it will change in all your objects. So yeah, according to according to your requirement, you should do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, yes.
But ma'am, here we are returning some string na hello world. Then why we are writing their void instead of string?
You are not returning anything. You're just printing. You're printing. See, if it is returning something, you will write return some string or something. You know, if it is returning integer, then you will write return one or something like that. That means if your method has return statement, and if it is returning something, then you should write whatever it is returning. If it is returning one, then that means it is an integer, so you can write int here. Here you are not seeing any return statement in your method main, no? So you are just printing something to your console. That means you are not returning, this method is not returning anything. There is no return statement in your method inside your function definition, so it is not returning anything. That's why return type is void.
I'll just add to that. See, suppose you are, instead of your main method, right? Suppose you had a method to add two numbers. Okay. Then it will be something like, say, public int add a comma b, int a comma int b. Now you add these two and return the sum. And somewhere where you're invoking the sum function, you will say that, okay, C equal to sum of a comma b. You understand that that is what you mean by returning. Here you are just printing to the console. The function is not returning anything. See, last time we described about these activation records and everything, no? So this system.out.println is just one statement that gets executed. It does not return any value. Whereas if it returns any value, it returns to the main function which is calling it, or the parent function which is calling it. So return value is something that has to go back to the calling function, or the parent function, or whichever. Here there is nothing, it is not returning anything. You understand the difference between returning and then the system.out.println, I mean the hello world here? Who asked
Yes,
the question? Sorry?
Me.
Yeah,
So
is it clear? Sridhar, is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
yeah,
If it's still not clear, please ask. Okay, Sridhar, it's clear, right?
Yes,
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah, Joyce.
Yeah, ma'am, if you don't specify this, int or void, then that would show as an error.
yes,
That's correct.
yeah.
Yeah, Java
Okay.
mandates that you must give a return type.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Yeah.
Nalini, sorry,
Yeah, it's okay. So the thing is, like, if your function has return statement, then you should include some whatever it is returning. If it does not has any return statement in your method, then you should simply write void in your function declaration, that definition of your function. Okay, yeah, this is like we have covered this, no? So the main method is taking an array of strings as arguments as parameter. This main method, yeah.
Excuse me, ma'am. This ARGS, right? This is a command line argument, or what is
Yeah,
that? It's just a
command
variable.
line. Yeah, it's command line argument. So if you want to give input, if you want to execute your program from command prompt or from shell or anything, you can you pass the parameters and you can
Okay.
execute your
Nalini, would you like to demonstrate in Replit? I think that will become more clear, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or do you want to do it at the end?
Yeah, we'll do at the end now, or should I do it now?
No, it's okay. It's fine. Yeah. Yeah, Joyce, you were about to ask something.
Yeah, I like in one practice question, no assignment question, instead of arcs, it's given apples.
Yeah, this is just a variable. No, you can have any name.
Any name, okay. Here R indicates command line thing, but if I give any variable there, then it would also taken.
Yeah,
right?
args is a variable name. Yeah.
Sorry, ma'am.
Yeah, so this is an args is variable name, so it is similar to int x. Instead of x you can write anything, no, int I or something. So similarly you are telling it will take string array as argument. So instead of args you can give any name like x, y or anything. So it's just variable name. Args specify variable name, but its type is string, array of strings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, Java program is like write once, run anywhere, because it has JVM. So Java program is not OS dependent. JVM is OS dependent, like your machine. So Windows will have different JVM, and other like Shell or some Mac or something will have some other JVM. But the program can run. If you write Java program, it will be executed on any machine because the JVMs are different on different machines. Okay. Okay, similar to Python, you have scalar data types, but in Python you will have data types, but you won't declare like int x, int y, or double x, something like that. But in Python also you will have data types. Similar to that, there are eight primitive scalar types in Java. Like of integer types are like so int, long, short, and byte. This does not take fractional points. So int xn will take only integers. Int, long, and short, and byte will take integers. Float and double will take some fractional points. So if you want to specify 0.001, something like this, some fractional point, you can use float and double. And character, so if you want to declare some character variable like only x, then you can use character data type. Boolean will take only true or false. So yeah, before using any variable in Java, you should declare that variable before using that. Before you use them, you should specify like, okay, I'm using this variable x and this is of the type int, or this is of the type double. You should specify early in your program. So it's not like Python, like if in Python you can say simply x equal to 10, and in the next line you can say x equal to 10.1, something like that you can say in Python. But in Java you should say int x equal to 10, int x, you can say int x, and you can initialize it later like x equal to 10 or something, or you can do the simultaneous declaration and initialization, int x equal to 10. So once after declaring x as type of integer, you cannot do this x equal to 10.1. You cannot do this because you have already told to your Java compiler like x is of type integer, it won't accept fractional points, so it will give compiler error in this case. Okay.
And then one more question here.
Yeah.
So, ma'am, when we declare variables, so is it like it will allocate some memory space in the memory, or will it allocate the memory space when we initialize that variable?
No, I guess when you're declaring, it allocates memory. This is my understanding. You're actually something like reserving space there. So
okay, so ma'am, like int has some space, so it will reserve that particular space for
correct. If it's a
that
2 byte, 4 bytes, no, then 4 bytes of memory location will be will be known as something like the symbolic representation will be x. Say if you're declaring int x, every time you say x, those 4 bytes, right? That will be
yeah. So you will have 4 bytes here.
Yeah, memory will be allocated when you're
for x. Yeah.
Okay. Can I write float x equal to 10?
So once
after int x,
Sorry?
is it after int x you're asking, or in general can I write float x?
No, I am declaring and initializing in one line, like int x equal to 10. But can I write float x is equal to 10, or I have to write float x is equal to 10 point something?
You can write in if so. Yeah, so you are telling just float y equal to 10 or something like that, no?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is like so float can hold integers as well. So in the memory it will represent as y equal to, internally it will represent as 10.00 something like that. So yeah, so you can write float y equal to 10. You can give integer to float as well, but for giving float you should specify f also for floats, either small f or capital F you should specify for floats.
Otherwise it will take the double by default.
Yeah, otherwise it will take double. Not double. So if you are saying it as double, then it's okay. Double y equal to 10, then it will take as double. But if you say float y equal to 10, it will give some error because you should specify it as float f. Okay.
And can we say this like float is a subtype of int?
No, what do you mean by that? I mean, float is not an object, no? It is a
float is a data type, no? Primitive.
Yeah, but why do you say?
Because he is telling because
it
can hold integers and also fractional points. So in that understanding, I think.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not sure. Like we'll have to think about it. Can you? Is there anything from integers that floats cannot do? Something that you have to think. I don't know. There may be some mathematical. I mean, you have to define the operations. We define. I mean, then you have to define what are the functions which are permitted and all that. I mean, I'm not sure like whether you can really do that. Whether float is a subtype of int, is it? Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll have to check. So what do you think? Can you declare it as a subtype?
In terms of memory allocation, it should be like we can store any integer in float, but the other way around, we cannot do that.
Yeah, that is true. But see, certain operations which you can do on integer, maybe can you do it on float? See, for instance, there may be some specific operations which are permitted on ints but not on floats, right? I cannot immediately think of any, but yeah, something like mod, finding the mod or something. Is it permitted on floats? I'm not sure.
Yeah, we will check and we'll
yeah. So there may be some, some operations which are permitted on ints but not permitted on floats. So I'm not sure. We'll have to check in. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, this is like what declaration and then initialization of your variables. So yeah, in Java you should declare them before using those variables, and also if you are performing some operation on your variable, so you have just declared you have just declared int some x, and then you are writing system.out.println some system.out.println, that same thing, and you are printing x, then it won't be allowed in Java because you have not initialized that variable. X is not initialized, so it won't. So you are trying to print something which is not initialized, so that won't be allowed in Java. So you will get an error. Okay, so Okay, you cannot use that variable without initialization. Anyway, any variable in Java. Okay, shall I continue? Move to the next slide.
Yeah, that's good.
So this is similar. So if you want to declare something as constant throughout your program, so that value should not be changed, if some variable value should not be changed in the entire your program, in your program basically, so you can just tell that variable as final. If you say something as final, then you cannot change its value. Then if you try to change that value, then compiler will throw an error. So if you declare any variable as final, that means you cannot change its value at all throughout your program. So you are saying float pi equal to some value. That means the pi value remains constant throughout your program. So in order to do that, you will use final keyword in Java. Modifier, final modifier in Java. Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am. What is flat? No, final is the initial. Flat pi.
A typo.
Float.
Typo. No, that's a typo. No, above. That blue
Okay.
one, no?
Okay, yeah, okay. It's typo. Yeah, sorry.
What is modifier is signifying here? Final, before final. What is modifier here?
Yeah, so final will apply to what variable, and also for methods also. If something is final in your what in your class, if some method is final in your class, then you cannot override that method.
No, I think the question wasn't what the word modifier means. I think, Nalini.
Yes.
That was the question, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So see, in Java, what we do is like, if you have seen the word public, right? Which is something like a modifier for a function or a variable, okay? And then you have private. Then you have something called protected. Then you have something called abstract. Then you have something called static. So these are all something like, we call it as modifiers for a particular method or a variable, saying like, how are they accessible? What are their limitations? They are something like a certain constraints for these variables. So for instance, if you say something like a private variable, okay, then that will be accessible only within that particular class. Okay, so that is a modifier. It's a modifier. So the modifier is a word that we use to say that, okay, this particular keyword means there is some restriction on this variable and some on this method or this thing. So if you say a method is public, then that method is accessible even from outside that class. If a method is private, then method is accessible only from within the class. So these words, public, private, abstract, final, static, all these are called modifiers. Okay, access modifiers, more specifically, access modifiers. Okay.
Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
You're like, sir mentioned, the lecture that adding a f at the end of the float value, that mean it would stay as a float, or else it would be considered as a double. It was mentioned in the lectures. So
yeah, to use the float, you must specify. So if you try doing float pi equal to 3.14 without including this f, it will give error. So if you are saying float, because it is a double, float cannot hold that value, because double can hold the decimal with the greater precision than this float, no? So long has precision of about some 8, it is like 8 bytes, no, 2 power 8,
So
that
actually,
precision. But
no,
for
no.
float, it has only 2 power 4. Yeah, so it cannot hold that value. So without including f, then it will become long. So yeah, float cannot hold that value, so it will give error. So yeah, what's your
No, my question is, already we are declaring it as a float, like, and then why should we mention it as a put an f in the end?
Yeah. So Nalini, I'll just answer that question. See, anything with the decimal, no, by default, Java looks at it as a double. Okay. And if you try to assign that particular value into a float value, it says that, okay, see, what I seem to be receiving is a float. If you are sure you want to have this value, Just confirm that it is a float value by putting an F at the end. So you may be thinking, okay, I know what I'm declaring. See, for instance, I know when I say float by, I know it is very much going to be a float value, but that's not how Java looks at it. If it is a decimal value, it looks at it as a double value, and double is a much bigger, larger. I mean, it occupies many more bytes than a mere float. So inside the internal representation of a double and float, no, that will be different. Say, for instance, if it has a 4 bytes for float and 8 bytes for double, what will do is the first 2 bytes, the float will assign for the value which is before the decimal, and the last 2 bytes it will allocate for the. See, these are all examples. I'm not saying exactly how Java 11 does or Java 2 does or anything. I'm just saying, for instance, float will say allocate the first 2 bytes for the value that comes before the decimal, and whatever comes after the decimal will come in the second 2 bytes. In the case of, if it has to be declared as a double, then the first 4 bytes will be the value that will be preceding the decimal, and the value that comes after decimal will be the last 4 bytes. So this cannot be accommodated in a float variable. So whenever it sees a decimal value, Java views it as a double. And if it has to, you want to confirm that, okay, I want to store it in a float variable, which takes only 4 bytes, then I have to specifically mention that it is going to be an F. I mean, it is a float by specifying an F. Okay. Certain things, are by the design of the language. I mean, you might ask, like, why do I need to do this? I mean, especially with Java, after coming from Python to Java, these things will it will always make you wonder as to why we have to do this. But that's, many a times it's by design of the language.
Yeah. Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes, similar to Python, you have arithmetic operators like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and modulo operation for remainder, and no separate integer division like Python. If you include double slashes, then it means integer division. No, there is nothing like that in Python, in Java. So to do integer division, if if you are doing like this 10 by 2, see here 10 is an integer and 2 is also of type integer, so that means the result is also integer. So they're like, unlike Python, there is no integer division in Java. But if both of you are like a numerator and denominator are of type integer, then the answer will be of also type integer. And in like Python, you don't have this double star for exponentiation, but you have to use math.pow function in order to perform some exponentiation kind of thing. So math.pow of a comma n, that means it will return a raised to n. So if you want to find 2 cube, then you can say math.pow of 2 comma 3, it will it is 2, it will give 2 raised to 3. Okay, there is no separate exponentiation operation in Java. And you have special operators for incrementing and decrementing. Instead of saying a equal to a plus 1 or b equal to b minus 1, you can simply use a plus plus or b minus minus. That means you can increment or decrement any variable by just using the plus operator, this plus plus operator. Just it decrements your value only by one, only by 1. It's not like plus 2 or something. It will happen only plus 1 or minus 1. Okay. And you have also shorthand notation, shortcuts for doing this operations. You can just simply say a plus equal to 7, that means a equal to a plus 7. You cannot, so if you say a equal to plus 7, if you say a equal to plus 7, that means you are just assigning 7 to a, this variable a. You are assigning value of 7 to this variable a. But if you say a plus equal to 7, that means it will do a equal to a plus 7. So whatever the value of a will be, 7 will be added to that value. Okay, this is like straight, no? Whatever these things.
Before and after the equal to sign, the space is necessary, or it is just?
It's not necessary, but sometimes you may encounter these kind of things also. It's not necessary to specify this plus 7 always if it is in positive integer. Okay, did you mean this only?
No,
this thing?
I'm saying space, one space before and after equal to sign.
No, it's not necessary. It's just for appearance purpose. You can write a plus
Okay.
equal to 7, but it's for clear neat appearance purpose only. You are using space before and after. Yeah, for like, yeah. Strings are built-in class. That means strings are objects in Java. So yeah, they are not array of so if you have string s equal to hello, that means they are not like unlike Python, they are not array of characters. You cannot say s of 0 something. You cannot access the variable, you cannot access the characters of the string by saying, by using this syntax. In order to access the individual characters, you need to use this method caret, which is present in the string class, and you can specify the index also. If you want to access the element at first index, you should specify 1. So s dot character of 1, it will give the output as e. Okay, so string indexing will start from 0 to length minus 1. So yeah, it is similar to Python, only the indexing will start from 0, and if you need to access the last element of your string, you just need to say s dot character of, so here how many characters, 3 4 5. So s of 5 will okay, 0 1 2 3 4, s of 4 will give last character of your s dot character of 4 will give o. So you need to specify length minus 1 in order to access your last element of your string. Okay, and similar to Python, you have plus operator that perform string concatenation. Okay, so if you want to concatenate your string, if you want to combine hello world by using space between those two strings s and t, then you can say s plus space plus t. So this is like space, this indicates space, this so you can say s plus space plus t also. Here the space is not required, it's just for appearance purpose only, that need yeah, for understanding only. Okay, strings
And
are
ma'am,
not yeah.
what if I add 2 plus 3 also in the end? Then it will be treated as 2 3, right? Not 5.
Yeah, because so you have now hello world, it is a string hello, let's take it is a string, and now you are telling 2, right, plus 3.
Yes.
Yeah, so it will perform operation in this manner. So it will become hello and 2 and then 3. So string, so it will be like now you are adding something to your string, so that will become string concatenation will happen. But if you do this 2 plus 3 plus hello, then here first 2 is of type integer and 3 is also type integer. 2 plus 3 will perform normal addition, it will become 5, and 5 plus hello, now you are concatenating something to your string, then it will just append to your string, then it will become 5 hello. Okay,
So it will go left to right.
yes, yeah.
Okay.
And if I put these two inside double quote, then 2
Yeah.
3 hello.
Yeah, if you want to perform, if you want to make it as normal thing, so 2 and 3 are of type string, so string concatenation will happen, so it will become 2 3 plus hello. Now the final output will be 2 3 hello. Okay, yeah. So you can, there is some method like substring also. So if you want to access the, like here caret can access only one element at particular index, but if you want to access the group of elements, like some specific index to this index, then you can simply say s dot substring of 0 to 3. This is like it will happen, so it is like similar to Python only. If you say list of, if list of 0 to 3, then all the elements in the list will be printed from 0 to second index. No, similarly all the elements will be considered from 0 to second index. Similarly here also 3 will be excluded, like it is not included, only -1 will happen. Whatever this is like first index and this is like last index, -1 will happen while accessing.
Ma'am, in Python,
Yeah.
for accessing and printing this string, we can jump in, say, any number, say every two alternate two numbers. So I will write 0, 3, comma 2. So it will
Yeah.
take the same thing is possible here.
Yeah, I think I should check that thing. So you are saying, yeah, I know this is possible in Python. Like you can specify range in between also here. If you have 4, then you can say you can access even index or
Yes.
something. Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
this possible here?
Yeah, I should check.
Not sure, Nalini. I think they can actually refer to the string class documentation on the
Yeah.
web page. Yeah. So it's not possible to remember all possible combinations, right? So you just go and check the string class. So whatever classes are introduced, you please go through the method list, the constructors, the variables, everything, so that you also get an idea about what are the things that are doable and not. And then eventually there is always this comparison with Python because you have learned Python, and doesn't necessarily be that everything that's available in Python are here, and things which are
No,
not
I just
there
want
might
to
be
know
here.
whether it is possible.
Yeah, I totally understand your curiosity. That's totally fine. Yeah, I would suggest that these kind of nitty-gritty things, right? It's always better to refer to the documentation because we also may not remember everything, right?
Okay.
So we only look at the broader, I would say, the programming language from the perspective of learning the object orientedness and all that, right? So yeah.
Okay. Ma'am, you were talking about some reference link. If you can post it in here.
Oh yeah, the Java documentation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll post it here. Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah, Nalini, carry on. I'll post it.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
So actually, sir has given the full link in the lectures.
Yeah, in the lectures
he
has
given.
Yeah.
But I'll copy it here anyway. Yeah, Nalini, carry on.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. So yeah, similar to strings, arrays are also objects in Java. So if you want to declare array of integers, so this is like syntax to declare array of integers, or you can use something like int a array. So this is shown here also, no? So this is like syntax. You can follow any of the thing, but yeah, you can follow anything which you feel comfortable. This is just syntax. And you need, how can you initialize an array? It's like here itself you can mention 1 2 3 4, some you can give elements to your array. So array A has this elements, int array has this all elements. Instead of that, you can just simply say int array equal to some new int of some size. You can specify size, means that length of that array. You can say array of 10 or something like that, and then you can initialize those elements of your array later. You can do at the time of declaration, or you can initialize later also. That also won't be a problem. Yeah, these are two kind of syntax. Similarly, if you wanted to do like float array equal to a, something like that, you can do similar kind of declaration for float, for strings. Am I audible, or is there anything background noise?
You're audible.
Yeah, okay. Oh, similarly, you can have array of doubles, and similarly you can have array of, like, if you have class student, then you can have array of students also. So array can be of anything, array of employees or anything. Okay, that is possible. And similarly, like, so the similar to strings, the indexing will start from 0 and it will end from length -1. If you wanted to access particular element of your array, you can say a of 0 equal to 2 or something. You can modify it. A of 1 equal to something. You can do that in arrays. This kind of accessing is there in arrays, but not in strings. Okay, in order to specify only, I'm using this. Okay, is it clear for arrays? In arrays, or if you have any doubt, you can ask.
Ma'am, can we access the last element using like -1?
Yeah, you can say. So the thing is, like, in string you have length method. In the string class you have length method in order to get the length of your string. In array you have variable like length
Nalini,
variable.
I think the question was, can you use
Yeah,
minus
yes,
one
ma'am.
to get the last?
Explaining, ma'am. So
sure.
so if your array is of size, here array is of size 4, no, length is of 4, no. So if you say a dot length, you will get 4. So you can say just a of a dot length minus 1, that you can do, or simply you can say a of 3, you can do. You will get the last element, that is 4, no, you will get 4 as output.
Ma'am, a of minus 1, is that not possible? Like, I was asking about that.
A of
Minus one.
minus 1, no, that back indexing is not there like Python here.
Okay.
Minus 1, minus 2, that is not there. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Then the last thing you have written, student of array. Inside element, I can store the student name.
So I'm telling this because if you have a class student, so class student is like, here you have class student and you have some instance variables like his name, roll number, student name, roll number, and all these things. So you can just create an array of student by saying okay, you can say size also here, new student of 2 or 3, something like that. I will show this declaration by erasing. I think it will be good. Okay, so now I have student here, student class. Assume like it has some instance variables in that. You all know, right, what are instance variables? So it has like string name, student name, and his roll number. I'm using string to store roll number as well. So string roll number. And constructor is to initialize those in my instance variable. These are called instance variables because this will vary from object to object. These all things are there in the lecture also, right? In the 4th lecture, constructors are introduced, no? So you can, you can write some string roll number in the inside itself. Okay, now this constructor is taking 2 arguments, that is string n and string rn. So I will say, I can say name equal to n. So I'm assigning whatever value n is n has, I'm assigning it to name, and then roll number equal to rn. So whatever value roll number is taking, then I am using it to rn, assigning it to roll number. So this all things are there in your student class. Assume for now only these things are there in your student class. Now you can create like array of students. So you can simply say student array is equal to new student of, let's take only 2 students in your string, in your student array. So you can say s of 0 equal to new student of. So the constructor is taking 2 arguments, no? You can say a name as some Rahul or something, and then you can give roll number a string only 1001, something like that, and s of 1 equal to new student. Similar syntax you can use for other student. Okay, now this is like student array. It has 2 elements in it, and the first element is of type student. Both elements are of type student, and the one is like instance variables are Rahul, name is Rahul, and other one is like some other name like Ravi or something, let's take. So other object is of type student and his name is Ravi. So you can do this in the same way. You can initialize it here as well. So without declaring an initialization, you can just initialize at the time of declaration itself. You can simply use the similar syntax which I have used here. New student of Rahul, 1001 something, and then other new student of Ravi, and same thing. So you can close. That means you are initializing your student array at the time of declaration itself. Here this is like initialization plus declaration, this part, and this is only declaration, and then you are initializing those elements of your student array. Is it clear? So this similar thing can be done to any class. Now I have shown for student. You can do it for employee. You can do it for any other classes like test or whatever classes you have defined. You can do that. You can create array of those array of those objects. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is similar to any programming language. You have conditional execution and loops also, iteration, like you can iterate over the. So for the conditional execution, you have like if else, and also for for conditional execution you have if else. So if can be single if, or it may or may not be followed by else. So it is not necessary always to be followed by else, but you can have else also to that if. So you can have single if some condition, or if else, if followed by an else that is there. And yeah, you can iterate, you can loop, like you can do iteration similar to like Python or any other language. You have like while loop to iterate over the statements again and again, and also for loop. While will check for some condition. If the condition is true, then only the statements will be executed. Similar to any other language. So for this is like for will have this initialization part, and then some conditional checking part, and updation part. So updation part. So you can say for int I equal to 0, you are starting from 0. You can start from 10 also. If I less than or equal to 20, I plus plus I am saying, then that means here I am saying system dot out dot println of I. If I say that, so the value of I will be printed. So first term 10 will be printed, so on till 20. So 10, 11, 12, 13, so on 20 numbers from 10 to 20, that numbers 10 numbers will be printed. Okay, similar to like C or other language, you have this. Yeah, there is like enhanced for loop also in Java, similar to for each loop in Python. So in Python you have for x in list, something like that. No, in Python you have this. No, some you can write print of x. Here you have, okay, here you have, I am taking integer array. So for int x of type, let's previously I have taken a as array. No, so I can say system dot out dot println of x. So you have to specify the type of the variable which you are what. So in the collection array is like previously I have taken a as array of type integers. No, so each element of your array will be of type int. So I should specify that int. If it is float array, if array is of type float, then you should write here float x. If array is of type student, then you should write student here, student, then you can print. Okay, that is possible in Java as well, similar to this. Okay. So yeah, multi-way branching, like you can check for multiple conditions by using the switch statement, switch case. Yeah, should I explain the switch, or else it is like clear from the lectures? No, like
it's clear from lectures. And one example you take for in REPL to describe how the flow is going, not this one, but this class and object, how it is.
Yeah, sure. Definitely we'll
That
do
will
at the
help.
end.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely we'll do at the end.
This part is more unlike Python. It's not that difficult.
Okay. So this is covered in the lecture in the week 1 as well. You all are familiar, no? What is class? Class is like blueprint. It is like it is used to create the new data type. It is like template. Class is a template for creation of object, but an object is an instant of the class. So how to define your class? So you should just use this keyword class and this class name followed by the class name. In order to define your class, you should tell this is a class and this is the class name. And so if you are not specifying any access modifier, that means it is a default. You can write just class date also, but that access is like default. So that will you will learn that those access modifiers things later. But for now, this is like public class date. And then these are like day, month and year is of type integer, and these are instance variables because they will change from object to object. So you can create many objects from single class, no? So you can create like different dates by using the same templates, so that's so each object will have its own day, month and year. So these are instance variables, and this is your constructor will have the same name as your class name. So class name is date, and also the constructor will have the same name as your class name. This is like public. And so the instance variables are day, month and year. So in order to initialize them, here the constructor, like it is taking 3 arguments, and you are setting the whatever the value d, m and year to date, month and year. You can have the constructor with the different arguments as well. You can just in the single class you can have the constructor with different arguments, like that is called overloading. Constructor overloading is there, can be possible. So you can just simply say public date of int d comma int m. That is like 2 argument constructor or single argument constructor, or you can give 0 argument constructor in the same class. So while creating the object, so if you say only new date, then the 0 argument constructor will be called. If you say new date of some value, if you have given some 1 or 2, some one value as 1, only just 1. So if you say new date of 1, that is like 1 hour date d equal to d1 equal to new date of 1, then 1 argument constructor will be called. And that if the argument is of only saying so here day equal to d, that means so your day will be initialized to 1. If it is 2, then your day value will be initialized to 2. So single argument constructor will be called, and the day will be, so in that constructor we are setting the value of day to d. That will be happening, that value will be initialized to that object. Okay, this is like method. So how can you identify a constructor? It has the same name as your class name, and it does not have, it will take some arguments as input, and it does not show specify the return type. Like in the further methods, you will have like void or int or double or float, whatever it is returning, you will have those in your function header. But it is not there in your constructor is also special function without any return type. It is basically used to initialize your instance variables of the object of your object. Okay, is it clear, right? Yeah, you can stop me at any point if you have doubt. So this thing we have already created, no? So in order to create the object, you should use this new. So in order to create any object of any class, so you okay, previously I have taken example of a student, no? I will use the same student as equal to, in order to create the object of student, I will say new student of, you can call constructor based on, like if you have defined what, zero argument or no or a single argument constructor or double argument constructor, based on that you can give parameters and you can call that specific constructor. So you similarly you can do for S2 also, same initialization. Yeah, so basically new keyword is used to create an object. So how to set the instance variables? By constructors, no? You can use the constructors and you can initialize the values of the your object. So previously you have seen date class, no? Here date d equal to new d date of 13 18 8 and 2015, no? That means day will be set to 13 because your first argument is day, no? D, right? D value is 13, right? So day will be set to 13 and month value will be set to m, that is like m is taking 8 and yeah, year is set to 2015. Yeah, constructor overloading I have said before. So you can have zero no argument constructor or single argument double or any constructor different. That means arguments can be changed, like number can be can be different for different constructors. Okay, but the name should be same, right? It should take the same name as the class name. Okay, a constructor can call other constructor using this. So okay, now in previously you have seen date, no? Okay, let us assume like here itself. Okay, this doesn't make that much sense. Now I have other constructor here, public date. Into d comma into m. So what can I do is like I can say this of and I can pass d and I can set month equal to m. That means I'm calling this constructor single argument constructor because I'm calling the constructor of single argument by using this keyword. Okay, is it understandable? And then I'm setting month, whatever value m we are giving, the other parameter which we are giving, and we are setting that value to month. Is it clear? This of d, that I'm calling the constructor single argument constructor from other constructor. So you can call the other constructor by using the this keyword.
So ma'am, so this is the object of date, or like whatever exactly is this doing? Like,
so if I say this of d, that means I'm calling the constructor with single argument constructor. The constructor which is taking single argument, I'm calling that from another constructor. In order to do that, I will use this keyword. If you say this dot day or something, that means I'm telling this object. So date d1 equal to new date of some 3 arguments 13 8 and 2015. If I say this dot month or this dot year, that means d1, that means this object we are talking about, this object that will happen to each and every object, no?
this is like self in Python, like, is it?
Yeah, this is like self in Python. Here this is like you are calling constructor other you are calling single argument constructor, this of d I'm calling, no? This is like method, no? This is not like dot notation, right? This dot I'm not doing here, this of this brackets I am using, no? And I'm giving some parameter also, that means single argument constructor. If I say only this, that means this of, then the constructor without any arguments will be called. from this constructor. Okay.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
So Nalini, I'll just add one point to this. So this keyword, right, that's actually used in two contexts. One is with respect to the field of the class, where Nalini has shown, right, that this dot day equal to D, this dot month equal to M. That particular, this refers to this particular instance of this class. The current instance inside which I am. See, for instance, when I declare, say, date D outside, right, or date DT something outside, for that particular instance, what is a day? And that is why we put this dot day. Actually, this dot day might be a bit redundant here, but in certain cases, it will become obvious. If you have the same variable, if you using the same variable as the argument as well as the local variable, right? In such cases, this will, here. See, if you put this dot day equal to day, then it becomes more clear. This dot day means the day, instance variable day of this object. And the right hand side, the day is the argument which is coming in for the constructor date. Okay. So this is one way of using the this keyword. The other one is what Nalini just explained, the constructor which it is referring to. The constructor of this class. That is what this means. So these both this, right? They both are slightly different in usage. One refers to the current object, other reference to the constructor of the current class. So for more details, I'll actually share a link here. You can just go through. This is the link from the Java documentation. So there it's actually explained clearly. Okay, so the usage of this. You can just go through and...
Okay. Ma'am, so this is used for basically constructor overloading as well.
Constructor kind, yeah. I mean, referring to the constructor, you cannot say constructor overloading.
You can call the other constructor from so
correct. In a case where there is constructor overloading, you can call the other constructor. Yeah, correct. What you understood is correct. Yes. It can also be used to refer to the current object. This keyword can also be used to refer to the current object. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Nalini, so I think by 7:30 we can start demonstrating in Replit.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Okay. Yeah, you can continue. I think we'll be over. It will be over by then.
Yeah, this is constructor.
I had a few activity question doubts. Can you address that after this?
So what we'll do is we will show you like how to do it in Replit and all that. And shall we take the activity question, practice question next session? We may not sure like after, because we have been saying that we'll demonstrate how to create a how to write a Java program from scratch and compile it and all that. No? So that we'll demonstrate using Replit. Activity questions, I think maybe if we have time, we'll definitely do it. But otherwise, I guess it might be better to do in the next session. After this session, after this session, you can just go back and check once again. You can post in the discourse also. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, Nalini.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. These things we have already discussed. No, these things, constructors and constructor overloading. Constructor can call another constructor using this keyword, and if you are not defining any constructor in your class, then Java will provide default constructor with empty arguments. So okay, you have inside this date class, if you don't define any constructor there, but while compiling itself, Java compiler will add default constructor to your class and will execute. That means while in like that constructor is like empty constructor, that means it won't take any arguments. So the use of this is like it will set all your instance variables to some default values. Okay, if the instance variables, if you have instance variables of type integer, then those values will be set to 0. Floating data types will be set to 0.0f, double also 0.0, something like that. And if you have some object type like string, array, or some student, then those values will be set to null. Those are the default values for null. Yeah. So the use of the thing is like this instance, the default constructor is like instance variables will be set to some default values. Okay. Copy constructors means, so you can create you can create new object from the existing one. So I will, so this is an example. No, here you can see here, this is a constructor, this date is a constructor, here this is a constructor. Here it is taking another object of type date as argument, and you are just what you are doing, this dot day equal to d dot day. So whatever the value of this date object is holding, this date object d is holding, that value you are assigning to the current object also. So let us assume like you have two objects of type date d1 equal to new date. I am calling 3 argument constructor like previous example only. So 10 5 20 22 I am saying. So now I am creating another object of date d2. Now I am saying new date of d1. So that means I'm giving d1. D1 is of type date. So which constructor will be called? This constructor will be called. No, this constructor will be invoked, and this will happen. So whatever values this d1 is holding, this d1 here you are explicitly setting this dot day. That means d2 dot day equal to d1 dot day. You are doing this. That means whatever value d1 is having for day, month and year, that values will be assigned to d2 also. That means you are creating a new object of type date from existing object d1, of type date. So you can create new object from an existing one by using this copy constructor concept. Is it clear?
Ma'am, if we write date d2 equals to d1, would that also do the same thing?
So you are saying date
d2
equal to d1. That means that I will show. Okay. So you have now d1 you have and d2 you have, both are pointing to same memory location. If I do this date d2 equal to new date of d1, then you have d1 separately, d2 object separately, but these values will be same. Day, month and year values are same for both the object. Here that means here both are referring to the same memory location. If you do this d2 dot day equal to some other value 12, that will be changed in d1 also. Like that means there are no like d1 and d2 are same object. So whatever change you do in d2, that will be reflected in d1 also. They're pointing to the same memory location. There is no separate d1 and d2 if you say directly date d2 equal to d1. Okay.
Okay, so basically both are referring to the same memory address.
Yeah, both are referring to the same memory address. So whatever change you make either in d1 or d2, that will be reflected in both of them. But here if you do date d2 equal to new date of d1, that means separate separate memory is allocated for d2, and but the thing is the contents of d1 and d2 will be same. Okay.
Oh, okay.
The values of d1, whatever the day and month.
So basically, if we change d2 later on, the changes would not reflect in d1.
d1. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that is this copy constructor. So basically copy constructor, the use of copy constructor is like you can create new object from existing object using the copy constructor. So in the lecture 5, you sir has discussed like how to take input and out, like how to print in Java. In Python you have input method node in order to take some input. Basically it will take string as input and later you need to typecast it to int or float, something like that. No, but in Java you have this scanner class. Using the scanner class you can take the input. Basically the syntax is this. So scanner, you need to create an object of scanner class. So by using this terminology, the syntax, you can create an object. This is similar like the way like how we create in student s equal to new student. Similarly, scanner in or scanner sc or scanner anything, any name only for that variable equal to new scanner of that system dot in. It is taking that as this that object, that system dot in object as input, and then you are invoking, you are calling in dot for that. Similarly, you have seen no system dot out. Similarly, here there is system dot in, and you are taking, you can take input of line, like you can take input of string, you can take input of double, you can take input of float, whatever. There are separate methods to take that. So in dot, so here sir has used in, no, in dot nest. This also will take string as input, string as input only. In dot next line also will take string as input. In dot next int will take int as input. So you have these methods in order to take the input to your program. Okay.
Now I did not understand what exactly is I got next line doing. Like
in dot next. Okay,
yeah.
you are asking this, no?
Yes.
So okay, in dot next. So if that, this will take string as input, right? So if you say hello world, that is string. So after encountering spaces, it won't what, only it will take hello as input. It will read only till hello. It won't take world because it will stop taking input after seeing space. It will stop reading the input after seeing the space. Difference is like it won't read whatever which is, it won't take input whatever which is present after the spaces. In order to take that spaces also as input, you can say hello next line. You can use in dot next line, that will take entire hello world or whatever. Something
Okay, got it.
some anything Java or something. So it will take that. So if you encounter some new line something, if you press enter, then it will stop taking, it won't read that. So the thing is like it will take input till it encounters space. It will read the input till it see some enter character is pressed. Okay.
And what about next int? Like in that case,
next int will read integers only, 10, 12, 20, only integers it will read. If you give like 10.0 or something, it will throw error because it is taking only integer. It can take only integer, this method int. Okay.
okay, got it.
Yeah, that's all for this revision. Like kind of I will share, like I will show how to execute the Java code in using Replit. Just one.
And you are okay to do that, right? And do you want me to try?
Yeah, I
okay
can do. Yeah, I can demonstrate, ma'am. If you want to add something, you can add.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Nalini, are you speaking anything? I mean,
Oh, sorry, ma'am. Actually, I am on mute. Yeah,
Yeah.
I will show. Yeah, sorry, I am on mute. So so basically, in order to create Java project, you will click on Java, right? And then you can give some name, any name.
So Nalini, just one quick question. Are there people who have not used a Replit so far at all? Is there anyone who has not seen the interface of Replit, not used it? Okay, I guess everyone knows. We can continue. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so you will get all these things by default. So class, main, public, static, void, main system dot out dot println. This will, whenever you create the new Java REPL, you will get all these things in your class, in your what window. So here, so basically you can just do this printing operation by just running this code. Then you will get hello world get executed. So this will happen. So you can simply say, you can, okay, I will do just simple arithmetic operation. So you can say a plus b here. You will get some output. Whatever addition of 10 and 20 will be, you will get, right? Yeah. So you can have some other classes also. So the point of execution will start from main method. So by default, so in order to by default, so in other what IDE is like Eclipse or something, if you have main method in your class, then you should indicate your class as public. You should declare your class as public. But in this Replit, this main method is public by default. Okay, that will get executed. You should not change the name here in order to perform this execution. Main method, you cannot give something, some other method like test. And if you try to run, you will get error in Replit. I think this is already we have compiled, no? That's why.
No, Nalini, you can go to the shell. Go to the shell. Just click on the shell. No? Yeah. Can you just do ls minus l?
ls minus
l space minus l. ls minus space minus l.
Space or not required?
No, after minus, no space is required. L.
Sorry. Yeah.
L, not one. Oh, yeah, okay. That's correct. Okay. So see, can you just do rm dot rm space star dot class?
Space star
dot class.
Dot plus.
Class. Yeah. Can you now try to run? Can you see?
Yeah.
Now it is showing that error. No, actually, this is what happened here. Yeah. Shall I just explain only just 1 second? So what happens in so this is very specific to Replit. So for other editors, it's totally different. You don't need to name the class as main or anything, but here you have to name one class at least as main. If you have to click on the run button, you see the run green button on top. If you want to run it and execute it, then you have to name the main class as main as the .java name itself. Okay. But if you want it, so can you just take the shell? Nalini, can you just take the shell?
Yeah, sure.
On the shell, yeah. Can you now click Java C space test.java?
Java C space.
Sorry, main.java. Java C.
Main is not there, no, ma'am.
Main is there. Main.java is there. Can you just no, hold on. Java C. Not Java. No, there is a missing.
Sorry, sir. Yeah.
I'm not sure whether the class name has to be the same as
Java C main
main
dot
dot
Java.
Java. Can you try that? I don't know whether, I mean, I think it will insist on the class name being the same as that. Okay, now can you just do Java main, Java test? No, Java main, right? Main, okay. It's a confusion. Okay, can you just run Java test? I don't know. Okay, so what happens now is you are actually compiling the main.java, but because the class name inside is test, it actually, now if you do ls minus l, no, Nalini, can you do ls minus l? Yeah, you're just listing all the class files generated. Yeah. You can see the test.class is generated, even though you compiled main.java, whatever is the class name inside that, corresponding to that, a class file is generated. And when you're running the bytecode, right, that has to be the class file, not the Java, the variable that you have to use. The name of the file that you have to use is not the name of the Java file, but it should be instead the name of the class file. So that's why Java test works. I don't think Java main will work because there is no main.class here. Okay. So this is very specific to Replit. This main confusion is specific to Replit. In general, what Java insists is within a .java program, you can have multiple class files. One class file has to be declared as a public class file, and that should be the same as the name of the file. Let us say, for instance, if it is public class test, then the name of the file should be test.java. You could be having so many other classes also inside the test.java, but the public class, there can only be one public class inside a Java file, and that has to be the class with the same file, same name as that of the name of the file, the .java file. Okay.
And it should have main method also, right, ma'am?
It should have the main method also, correct? Yeah. The public static void main. So this main.java confusion is only with respect to Replit. Okay. Yeah, you can now do whatever you were planning to do. Yeah, you can change it to main so that we can avoid all the confusion.
Yeah, yes. So you can have some other classes also here. Like you can have any number of classes, but the thing is only one class should be public for other IDs. But in REPL by default main is public. So yeah. Let's take some class. Okay, I will use student only, which you are most familiar. So I'm saying string. Sorry, what? And then I have constructor. Previously we are telling no zero, no argument constructor. We can have any. I will just for demo I'm using. Now I can say so yeah. So now I can create an object of student by saying new student of. So this is in string, so I should use double quotes. So if you miss some semicolon or something like that, it will be in what? Red. Here also A and B are not there, so it is showing red thing here. Syntax. So if you press here, you will get syntax error, insert semicolon kind of thing. So you can rightly say s1 dot name. I'm using space. Okay. So s1 is like you are using a constructor without any argument. That means in this constructor what will happen, all the instance variables will be set to some default values. So that means the string is of type object. So all this were because string is of type object type variables will be set to null. So name is of type string and it is of object type, so it is set to null because you are not initialized that name or roll number to some value, because you have created s1 using some this no argument constructor. So these instance variables are set to some default values. And for s2 you are saying name as Rahul and roll number as this 1001. Just I'm printing only name, so it is giving as Rahul. So if I remove this, if I comment this, if I comment this and if I try to create an object of this class, it will give error. See, it is already telling the constructor student is undefined. That means you don't have this constructor, zero argument constructor. If your code has any constructor, like Java does not provide default constructor. If your code does not have any constructor, in that case only Java will give default constructor. So you will get error this time because there this this zero argument constructor is not there in your code, so it will give error. Okay, if you comment out this and if you try to execute only this statement, you will get this program will execute because you are not specifying any constructor in your class. That's why the Java compiler will give default constructor in that case. Okay, if anyone has specific doubt like regarding the execution, you can ask now. Any specific doubt regarding something, if you wanted to do something and if you are unable to or yeah, if you have any doubt regarding anything in order to access these variables or something like that from your program, you can ask.
Ma'am, I haven't been able to start with the content, so if you could give a brief overview, that'd be very helpful.
Sorry, I
brief overview of what? Of the code, because I haven't been able to watch the videos.
Brief overview of what? Sorry?
Of the code. I haven't been able to watch the videos, ma'am.
Which code?
Inside class student, she's declaring one more student. I didn't get
this
that
is
part.
not student, this is constructor. No, this is constructor. Are you there in the live session previously also? Or this is constructor?
I joined in a little late.
A little late means I have discussed this concept like in the ending itself, like 15 minutes back only. So yeah, I have told that like constructor is a special method that has same name as the class name and it will take some arguments. Yeah, she's asking about this student, ma'am. Inside the student you have
okay.
student.
So Shruti, when did you join? Shruti, right?
Yes.
When did you join?
Recently only.
Yes, Shruti, you can just go back to the few minutes back of this live session, the YouTube, okay? So Ali has actually explained it. Otherwise, if you try to explain that, it will be a repeat for the others. You can just go through it, and if you're not able to understand, please join the next section in that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Nalini.
Yeah, any others, like any specific doubt like regarding
ma'am, whatever be the the arguments parameters passed on to the main, the input thing is always like a string.
Yeah, this is always array of strings. It must be always, it will take always. This is like syntactical thing only. You should, the main method syntax is that it will take array of strings as argument. This name you can change. You can change. Yeah. This
Why is it so, ma'am? Because here we are giving the student, like we are using the student. In the previous case, we have used int, like a plus b. Why is that main always takes only the string? Like
no, that is different. So that's actually different. So Nalini, can I just demonstrate something?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
You can. Yeah, I will stop sharing. Yeah.
Yeah, you can share. Just show me one second. I'll just share. Just give me a second. So is the screen visible for everyone?
Yes.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So see, we are writing class main, right? So class main will actually have the public static void main, public static void main. Okay, so this is the program, right? So suppose we run it, this is what we're getting, right? Just one second. Why is it printing? Okay, let me just refresh this. Just give me a second. Let me just reload this. Okay. Now, what we are talking about is, suppose you're going to execute. So there are two ways to run it. Okay. When you are in the console mode, you are running it by default. What it is doing is, see, you can see this command, no, Java C minus class path target. So it's whatever we ran on the shell, it is actually running on the this thing by default. Okay. That's what the console means. If you take it the shell mode, you can see I can run the same thing, main.java. Okay. Now this has compiled, okay. Java C is the command to compile the main.java file. What it has done is it has gone through the code. It has generated what is known as the bytecode of Java. Now, if I look here, I will have the class file also listed. See, main.java, main.class and main.java. So I will show you once again. I will just remove this class file. Okay. Now I don't have the class file here. See, I have only the Java file, right? Now I run the Java C. Okay, then I have the Java file, the class file. So you might be wondering why I'm explaining all this for the command line argument, because this is what the command line is. Whatever we are giving in the command prompt, right? This is the command line. And whatever follows the main.java, like whatever follows that is the command line argument. I will come to that. Okay. Now, if you see here, you will see that the class file has been created. Okay. When you run the Java C, you are saying that, okay, you go through this Java file and generate the bytecode. And the bytecode generated is this main.class. Now, where I want to execute this class file. For that, I use the Java command. Okay. Java main. That's it. I'm not going to say dot class. It is implied. I'm not going to say dot class. It is implied. When I say Java main, I'm going to execute the main.class file. It is understood. Okay. Now I'm getting hello. Now what I want to do is I want my program to take as parameters say 1 and 2. I want to input 1 and 2 as parameters to my program. And here what it is going to do is whatever parameters it is taking, right? See, inside this program, I'm not making use of this args variable at all, right? So now I'm going to print the args 0. Sorry, args, yeah, args 0 plus args. Right? Now, what does this mean? It means that it is taking this arguments, no? It will get two values is what I'm saying. And I'm saying that these two are the values. Whatever comes after the class file name here, right? This main, that is the command line argument. I can put any number of arguments here, and depending on that, the size of the array will be extended. I can put say 10 values also. That's not a problem. Suppose now what happens if I run this program? Now that I have edited the code, I have to compile it again. Okay, I compile the code again. And then I run say Java main 1, 2. See, it is printing 1 and 2 here. See, I have not written anywhere in the code that I have to print 1 and 2, right? It is actually taking the parameters from this, the 1 and 2 which I have passed. For instance, if I just give 1, 2 here, it will print 1, 2. These are the command line arguments. This is the command line, and this is these two are the arguments that are going into this string array. Are you able to understand?
Ma'am, the question I had a question which is like, why is it mandatory? Like command line argument is something that is pretty much optional, but why is it mandatory to write string?
Because there is, see, the main method that we are using, which is defined in the system, is taking two parameter. That's it. But that is optional. You don't have to give it. If you don't give it, it will just treat it as an empty parameter. If you simply give, like if you see earlier example, you are not making use of these arguments at all. You will just give hello and it will just print. These args variable is never made use of in this program, right? And you don't have to give anything in the argument as well.
But
that
we'll
is
have
very much
to,
optional.
Yeah, but we'll have to write string args in the function
because
definition.
that is how the main method has been defined inside the system.
Okay, got it.
Okay, now it prints me. So I'll just clean this. So whoever asked about like why is it only string if I want to because when we were adding it was integer. When I was printing this was a string. Since this system.println whatever it is printing does not have anything to do with this unless you are using the args of 0, args of 1, etc. as the parameters to the println method. So whatever are coming is as the command line arguments, we can make use of it, but that does not have anything to do with the data type of what is being printed by the println statement. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Joyce, that's clear, no? So that is the whatever is coming from outside the program as an input to this program, right?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
We can actually do it using system.in, like scanner in Nalini gave na, that we can input, like while the program is running, we can give the input. That's also possible. Other way to give it is as a command line argument.
Yeah, I get it. Thank you, ma'am.
I'm just curious, like while storing the command line arguments, like certainly uses some memory, right? Like even if it is like very, very small, but like I'm just curious, why would a language implement something that is optional to be mandatory? Like
no, I didn't understand.
Okay,
no,
so
I
like,
didn't get your question.
Okay, so storing arguments inside, like storing the arguments would definitely require some memory, right?
No, you're not storing any argument, no, unless you pass something, the array is pretty much empty, right?
No. Let's say if we are passing any arguments, and
then it will be used inside the program is the assumption, right?
No, I'm saying if we do not use it, but we just pass the arguments, okay?
Why would anybody do that?
No. I'm just curious. I'm just asking like something that is like, if we pass the arguments, but we are not using it in the function, that would certainly, use some like even if it is very little memory in bytes or bits, okay? So I was just curious, why would a language make it necessary to take arguments even though the user or the programmer is not using it?
See, I have declared two variables, a equal to 1 and int a equal to 1 and int b equal, and I'm never going to use this, okay? It will still occupy memory, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So certain responsibility lies with the programmer.
Okay.
No, I see. That's what I see. The programming language construct will give you a lot of options. So where you are simply passing some arguments and I'm not going to use it, I'm just having fun of it, no issues. See, anyway, these days, memory and RAM and everything is like not the problem now. I mean, most of the time, the problem is the time of execution that we're trying to optimize it. Space is something that, okay, when people started with the time complexity of algorithms and everything, space was a big concern at that time. These days, people, for whenever you're saying the asymptotic complexity of a program is in general with respect to the time, right? So it's always the time. I mean, these days, for us, time is more precious than the memory space, the RAM and the memory space, right? So yeah, so those things like, I mean, these are like, and anyway, Java does automatic garbage collection. So once this is exited and these variables are not used, it will anyway clear off this memory.
Oh, got it. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Okay, so this is about the command line argument. So you can use it, you may use it, you might never use it. And I don't know who was the one who last asked the question, but Samit, is it?
No.
Oh, sorry, who asked the question?
Ma'am, I did. Sachin.
Yeah, Sachin, yeah. So Sachin, see, I mean, whether it is used or not and how responsibly we use it, right? You still have to write this for every Java program you write, wherever there is a main method, you still have to write it. It's part of the program statement. And the sir was saying in the beginning also, right? People like especially when you're coming from Python to this will look a little scary, but people like me who come from Java to Python, Python is kind of something that's clearly unpredictable for us. Like we are quite used to defining things which are very systematic, very organized, and very it's very highly predictable. Whereas in the case of Python, there is a lot of unpredictability. That I'm people who have learned programming in early days, they will clearly agree to it. But yes, I mean, new age programmers cannot think of something which is clearly as specific and well defined and systematic like Java, right? Yeah, some kind of a randomization is something people prefer. Anyway, okay. So yeah, so that's about this. Anybody has any other questions on how to execute this? So I think somebody was asking on how to run it on Eclipse, right? Shall we do it in the next session?
Yes, yes.
Okay, we'll do it in the next session.
Yeah. Just one small question.
Yeah.
Because if this class main, this replit, if I want to this is a program that I will store it. I can store it another program. Then again, I have to write this class main in replit.
No, I didn't understand. What is this question?
Suppose I have one problem. For that, I have written a Java code. Fine. So when I am writing this Java code, I am using this class main.
Which class name?
This function that you have public function defined, public class main.
The main is it? Main.
Main. Main, M-A-I-N, main. So for the second problem, suppose the second problem, again I have to write this class main.
What do you mean by second problem? Does it come as part of this whole project, or is it that you will be accessing that class?
Suppose there is two projects. One project I am using some Java code where I must use this class main function.
Okay.
And the second project, again, I have to use this class main, or I can use in my choice. Suppose class test, what you have shown.
So within the same project, I think you cannot have two classes with the same file name.
No, not within the same project. It's a different project.
Different project, there is no issue. You can have the same file names.
But then in REPL, you said we have to always use this main as a function.
No, you see, what I meant by project is a set of files which will be used as a single functionality, like a single application. Okay. For a single application, you just need a single main file, right?
So I can, for the second project, I can use main 1, third project main 2. And every time in the command line.
No, see, in Replit, the only problem is if you want to click on this green button and run this as a full project, right? Then you have to have the main method, main class as the main.
Oh, by
okay,
default,
just to run here. See
only.
Here, yeah, by default it searches. See, you can rename it as test. Okay. Now what happens? What happens if I click on it? Okay, I'll just write it as test. Okay. Now, if I try to run it, it may not recognize is my understanding. Let me see. I may have to remove the class files. Let me see. it still prints, what I'll do is minus L. Okay, I will remove rm star dot class minus L. Now I have only test.java, right? Now if I try to run this, I am assuming that it will say we need a file with main.java. See, it looks for something called main, which is by default. Still, you can run this if you go here and run the Java C. See, I'm saying.
Yeah, I got it. Because I have to go to command line to create that test.class file, then I will run it.
No. See, only if you have to run using this run button, which is given on top. By default, Replit has programmed it that it should look for a main.java file. That's it. When you click on the run, it is actually executing Java C main.java. Simple. So you should have a main.java file. That's all.
Yeah, I got it.
Got it now? Now you can actually run this. There is no problem. This will still work and everything. Only if you have to run via that green button, then you need to have a Java main.java. Here it will still work. Got it now?
Yeah.
Anybody else has any doubt on that? Like this is very specific to Replit. I mean, Replit is a new thing for Java. There are other IDEs where this problem will not be there. The only thing that most of the let me just complete the sentence. Just 1 second. The only thing that most of the IDEs will insist is that within a class file, when you are declaring multiple files, one of them should be declared as a public file, public class file, and that should be the name of the Java file. Okay. Yeah. You were saying something. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying even in Python, we also face the same thing because whatever we have to in Replit, we have to execute, we have to create in this. Suppose I am storing in some other file, that file will not execute. By default, if I run, only the first console program get run. I have to bring that.
Correct. Yeah, that's again, I think, that's again how the Replit has configured the run button, right? That's it. Just to make life easy for people who are new, that's it. So if you really want to try out how these things work, you should use the shell. That will actually make you understand how to do it. If you don't want to install Eclipse in your machine and all that, then you'll still be able to do it using this shell prompt.
Yeah, actually I loaded the VS Code. So
VS Code is also fine. Yeah, I think VS Code is also fine. I have not tried on VS Code. We normally work on the Eclipse. Okay. Yeah. So anybody has it? Yeah. Anyone? Sorry.
In Saturday, what we will do some programming.
No. Activity and practice questions we want to address first, and then there is not much of programming that was taught in this week. A little bit. Maybe we can just try out few examples. That's after discussing the activity and practice questions. We'll try to discuss. We'll try to do some coding or something if we have time. But otherwise, I think generally coding, I think we'll begin after the third week's lectures also. Otherwise, we won't have much, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, but if anybody has any specific program, anything that you want to try out or anything, just let us know. We can do that. It's not a problem. Okay. So anybody has any questions?
I have a quick question.
Yeah. Can you name? Can you say your name?
Ma'am, Mir.
Mir. Okay. Yeah.
Ma'am, we have a class test here, and when we run Java C. Okay, Java C, then it will only add this test file, which we can run as Java test. What if we have another classes with different names? It will also list all those classes.
Something like class student here, is it? This is what you mean?
Yes, ma'am. And then we can run using Java command standalone classes, or we have to run the main one.
Just 1 second, I'll show you. Public void display. Okay, now I'm just initializing it something, okay, so that okay. Now what you're expecting is, okay, now this is what you're asking about, right? What if this has to?
Yes, ma'am.
This is a situation which like the Java file should have the public, this thing, at least one file should have the public interface when you have multiple files, okay?
Yes.
Now you have two, no? Now you will compile the The file name is Java. That is test.java, right? That is something, it is evident from here, no? It is
Yes, ma'am.
test.java.
The file name which we have created.
Correct. So just 1 second. Let me just print something here. Otherwise, student new student. Okay, now what happens if you compile this, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Let us see. I run this, I get this. But the one thing that you have to see here is, see, you have two class files generated. See, student.class and test.class.
Yes, ma'am. So we can also run using Java command the only student class also?
No, when you run Java, it means that it has a main method, no?
Okay, ma'am. So we can only run the main one using the Java command.
Correct. That's my understanding. Now that you ask, no, I think that is the idea. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. But see, every class file will be created. See, even if there are 100 class files inside this test.java, each of them will be created as a separate class file.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So shall we wind up the session for today? I mean, other questions, I think we can clarify it on Saturday. Okay. Is it okay?
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Thank you for a very interactive session. It actually helps us also to learn a lot of new things. I mean, things which we haven't thought about, right? Yeah. So thank you very much. Keep it as interactive as this. Okay. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Thanks all. Yeah, bye.